and welcome to Reliving My Youth. My name is Noel. My guest this week is singer-songwriter Katie Costello. Now, Katie, when she was 17, moved across country from LA to New York City to start her career. She wasn't even done with high school yet. She was an independent artist back then, and she still is to this day. I asked her if there was ever a chance of her signing with a major label. We also discussed her latest album, Stereotype. It's out now to rave reviews, and it's fantastic. We also discussed some of her other songs. I first discovered Katie when she opened up for Toad the Wet Sprocket over a decade ago, and there's a different mindset when she opens up for an artist as opposed to a solo show. Really enjoyed my conversation with Katie. Hope you do as well. So Katie, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
It's so mutual, Noel. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, of course. Before we talk about your latest release, Stereotype, which I absolutely love, I just want to tell you how I first discovered your music. And you opened for, I don't remember what year, maybe it was 2010 or 11. You opened for Toad the Wet Sprocket,
Yes.
Long Island, and I love them. Great show. And you were unbelievable. And after you did your set, you did a little meet and greet. So I immediately got your CD, and I think it was Lamplight. I think that's the one you're
Yeah, that was what, yeah.
promoting. Yeah, so I had it signed and stuff like that. So I still have it. I think I still have a CD player in the house, but I still have the CD. But yeah,
I
so
love that.
love the show. Now when you open up for like an artist, and I don't even think you were billed on there. I think we just knew you were there when you came out.
Mhm.
Is your approach different, like trying to win over a crowd where people don't know you as opposed to people coming to see you just for you, knowing that you're performing your music?
That's such a great question. First of all, I love that you were at that show. Those shows were really memorable for me. They were all like really, really fun shows.
Right.
Like kind of notably fun. And I remember each of them. So I
Right.
love that you were there. And I that's so cool that we actually, met back then because
Yeah.
but they are really special shows to me. And wow, your question, what you said is so true that when you are an unknown artist, people don't know your name yet. There's definitely a different dynamic with the crowd, winning them over, if you will. And that's definitely like, the goal. And it's really cool because oftentimes people who are there to see a band, let alone a band like Toad the Wet Sprocket, you're already kind of entering a room with a lot of like sincere music fans. So from that point of view, I feel like they were great audiences to win over because they were already like, people who are keen on listening to music live in a way that I
Right.
think is, made my job easier, if you will.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you made like a lifelong long fan of me that night as well. But it was
Oh,
also
thank
like a
you.
good, like, mixture of music. It wasn't like a stark contrast, like you're like, hip hop or whatever, and you're opening for, To the Wet Sprocket. So it was
Yeah.
kind of a nice, like segue into their music. And
I love that, and thank you so much because it was super fun watching them every night.
yeah,
And I felt like that too. Like it was a
yeah,
the whole show felt like a, very something I was very proud to be part of.
yeah. Did you ever ask Glenn why he performs barefoot?
You know, I don't even know if I needed to ask. I just figured it was because it's so comfortable.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
He's such a seasoned performer. So I figured it was just, learning curve
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I had him on a couple of years ago, and I asked him that question, and it was exactly what you said. Just comfort. Exactly. So it's
That is
awesome.
so funny. I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. So I'm glad that I had the right idea with that.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Now, like your first album, Kaleidoscope Machine, came out when you were 17, right? And you're originally from California. You moved to New York. Now, how was the culture shock for that? Did you move by yourself? Did your family come? Like, tell me just about that whole like process of just moving across country.
Yeah, it was a really incredible time because I was actually not out of high school yet. So I elected to do my last year of high school online.
Okay.
So it was sort of interesting because at, now, let alone after the pandemic, it's like everybody has a familiarity with online school,
Right.
but at that time it was really unusual. And I was lucky enough to get into a program where I could finish my last year of high school online. But it's funny because in terms of culture shock, although New York, I mean, it was just completely 100% different than where I grew up in Los Angeles in Southern California. But at the same time, I was so ready for it. I wanted to live in New York City so bad
Right.
that I think it was just like I was like a fish in water. So when I like touched down, it was kind of like I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm in my new home, and I already felt really like at home there. But I did move by myself, but I had some best friends, and my parents helped me out, when
Okay.
I was moving in. But yeah, the first night where I was like, like by myself in my apartment for the very first time, it was definitely one of those moments where I was like, wow, like
Right.
it happened.
Yeah.
Like, I'm an artist in New York City, and like it really felt like a dream come true moving there.
That's us. And your parents were completely on board with you doing it, 100% support.
you know, well, as you can imagine, for a 17-year-old, they had a lot of misgivings about it. And that was something that, it was basically around my 18th birthday that I actually did move because of that, because of, those logistical reasons.
Right.
But I actually was going to that part of New York because I was at the time going to go to New York University,
Okay.
NYU,
Right.
and I had got accepted into the Clive Davis
Wow.
Institute of Recorded Music, and so I was going to go there. And my so that was a big part of, I think, my parents actually being kind of open to it, was that
Right.
I did have this plan of going to college. And then when I told them, that I had decided that I wouldn't be doing that, and that was around the time I was actually making Lamplight, and that was a
Okay.
big decision. It was really difficult at the time, but I thought, this is what I need to do. And of course, parents, naturally being worried for their kids,
Yeah.
that was not a popularly received decision at the time.
Right. Yeah.
um, but over the years, they've come to definitely appreciate why I've made the choices I've made, for sure.
Right. And you're gonna do it anyway, so they might as well just support you,
Yeah,
I
we
look
all
at it.
have to follow our own path, and
Right.
I think that they recognize, that was exactly what it was.
Right. Yeah. No, I have three myself, so I mean, I don't want to be a hypocrite. So if one comes to me and said, they want to move cross country and like, I better support them. I don't want to
Yeah,
lose
no,
them.
for sure. It's not easy, and I can only imagine that, it's worrying when your kids like across the country, but at the same time, when you know that they are like doing what they love, I think it makes it easier.
Right. Yeah. My oldest is a sophomore in college right now, so he's about 4 hours away. So
Oh, cool. Oh, that's
yeah.
good. That's good. That's pretty close.
Yeah, and not bad. It's close enough where we can just drive to get him, far enough where he's not going to come home and annoy us all the time. You know,
Best of both worlds.
exactly. Now, did your like process, because I guess it's over a decade now between Kaleidoscope Machine and Stereotype. Did any of your process change between making that album and then making Stereotype?
Yeah, that's a great question. I definitely. I think that my songwriting has definitely evolved as I've done it, over the years. And I I definitely had a chapter where I was really interested in collaborating with other songwriters and producers in a way that my earlier music was basically me always writing by myself at the piano or on guitar by myself. So because of that really solitary element of approaching my music that way at the time, it was really fun and refreshing to like collaborate with a bunch of people. And I feel like I picked up on like a bunch of different things I learned from pretty much everyone I worked with. And so then that kind of came back with me to my solo writing. So on Stereotype, there's some songs that, I wrote by myself. And then there are ones that are collaborations. And so that's definitely like kind of the evolution of it, that it was sort of like a lot of collaboration and then kind of coming back to my roots, sort of.
Right. Now, have you ever experienced like writer's block at all?
For the purposes of this interview,
No,
absolutely not.
of
Absolutely
course,
never.
never.
Never. Don't even know what it is.
Exactly. Pen to paper, song in 5 minutes, right?
I will say, I do feel really, really fortunate that I do feel like I have experienced less writer's block than a lot of even beloved authors that I love.
Right.
When I read certain pained passages of their writer's block, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're describing it so well, but I'm so
Yeah.
glad I'm like not in that at this moment.
Yeah.
But yes, I of course I've experienced it, and I think everybody goes through it at times. And it's just the ebb and flow of making a lot of stuff. Sometimes
Yeah.
you just don't have anything to say.
Yeah. Right. No, I had someone on and he was like, never experienced writer's block. Either I write or I don't write. It's like I'm not
Yeah,
going to, I have nothing to write. I'm so, freaked out. I just won't write until I have something to write. So I figure that's a good
to-
approach. Yeah.
totally. No, it is funny though. I think every songwriter though does have a thing where if they haven't written a song for like a little like
Yeah.
maybe longer than a normal passage of time, there's definitely an anxiety of like, did something happen to me?
Yeah. Right.
Am I still okay? Do I know
Yeah.
how to do this? And then of course, like, it's like, then the next moment you're like suddenly something's coming to your head and you're like, okay, I still have it. It's
Yeah.
not, it didn't go anywhere, but it's just, when you're new to that experience
Yeah.
as an early songwriter, it definitely is freaky when you like kind of, the well feels dried up at that moment.
Yeah. Now, is it easier for you to write in a place of like positivity or negativity, like heartbreak, being in love? Like, what's easier for you?
That's such a great question. It's so funny because I think that it can really just depend on every moment. But I would overall say that I very much like to write in both states. I'll say that.
Yeah.
But I think it is harder to write when you're happy. I think it's harder to. I think or I should say it like this. When I'm experiencing something that feels very painful, the natural catharsis of writing a song is really natural in a way that when I'm happy, I feel like I can have something similar too, but it feels like there's a little bit more involved in that
Mhm.
than sort of the when I'm in like a kind of what I would call more negative emotion, if you will, or like a sadder emotion.
Yeah.
It kind of comes out a little bit less, maybe less filtered.
Right. No, that makes total sense. Now, has there been a song like you've written, like being like completely negative, that it's been therapeutic for you, but you just didn't want to release it?
Oh, that's a really good question. Um, yes, definitely. There are some songs that I've written that I feel like have been really like therapeutic, but when I listened back to them,
Yeah.
it was like I didn't think they were the best songs. And not because I don't like I wouldn't want someone to hear it, but
Right.
it's more that like I think that the albums that I've been putting out, I've been really wanting the songs to be very, very special of like a certain kind of caliber. And so I feel really lucky because I feel like I write so much that there's often a lot of songs that are like, okay, I'm gonna leave this for the vault,
Yeah. Right.
that's gonna go into a little drawer.
Yeah. Have you gone back to like those songs, like say from the vault?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I actually have like a lot of ideas that, sometimes I'll kind of revisit or kind of work on again. I definitely have songs that have sort of like I've been writing for years and they're still
Mhm.
not kind of done, but they just sort of get written every once in a while.
Right.
You
Yeah, exactly. Because it's been I think what 7 years since Twice the Love, like your last like full length LP, and in
Yes.
between you had some songs that you released that are on Stereotype, right? I mean, like I think Polaroid it was out there for a while, which is an unbelievable
Yes.
song. But
Thank you.
yeah, and you've done like the EPs like here and there. Do you think now it's kind of how the music business is going that way? Like just release songs as you have them, release the EP, and then if you want to release an album, you just do it that way too?
It's a great question. I think that in many ways what you described is how the industry seems to have been evolving. But I feel really grateful that I think that because of there being so many years of that approach, I think that people are ready and kind of interested in good albums again. In a way that I think is kind of on the uprise or kind of increasing. And so I think that that feels exciting to me because I've always loved albums. And and I have been releasing stuff over the years, even when I wasn't releasing a full length album, just because I love putting things out there,
Right.
and let alone the case of Polaroid, like I loved that there was this acoustic version as well as the produced version, and
Yeah.
so I definitely wanted to have both versions out there.
Okay. Now, you're being an independent artist pretty much from the get-go. Was there ever like an opportunity for you to sign with a big label?
Yeah, it's I I feel very fortunate that actually pretty much with almost yeah, with all of my album releases there has been label interest in me as an artist, and I feel very grateful for that. Um Early on, the offers that were given to me, they really weren't the best offers. And there were things already at that time that, because I had met a lot of musicians living in New York. I met so many different people, so many different artists, and so many people. I actually had like a lot of good fortune of meeting a lot of people who were already signed to labels. And so I started to like really learn a lot about how not all situations at major labels are good.
Right.
So there were a lot of circumstances where I was offered things, but that it really didn't make sense at that time in my career to have to accept something that didn't feel 100% like it was the best thing for me
Right.
long term. And so because of that, it never really manifested. But with Kaleidoscope Machine, with Lamplight, with Twice the Love, even with the songs from Stereotype, thankfully there has been label interest. But for it to have gone all the way to the point of it being like a good deal, that has not come about. And that is something that, because of that, maintaining my independence as an artist has been really positive for me.
Right. And I mean, it's amazing, like even like discussing it with, artists when you were younger and stuff like that, that you kind of held to your guns and not saying, I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care what you people say. I'm going to get on a big label and make it big. The fact that you kind of like listen to them and kind of, learn from their experiences and then, kind of did it your own way is a testament, to yourself too.
Thank you so much, Noel. I really appreciate that, because it wasn't always easy to say, to walk away from certain things, but it really was because of the experiences I was hearing about from other people and even my own, where there were circumstances where I knew of people who had signed to labels, and the label decided not to release the album,
Right.
and they didn't get a chance. That album was shelved, and then it was like it was also being held hostage, so they
Yeah.
couldn't even release their own music. So there was a lot of different
Yeah.
things that were already circulating at that time where it felt like something that I had to do. I had to make a choice to protect what I felt was what I wanted to create long term. And I do feel very proud of that, because I think that uh, more artists, I think that when people hear, oh wow, like that label deal wasn't very good, or this thing, it kind of changes your perception of how valuable you feel like those things are.
Right. Now, I guess on the other side of it, you do twice the work now being an independent artist. You have to obviously, promote yourself
Yeah.
and do that. And maybe you get half of the recognition, half of the reward, but you stay true to yourself. So
Amen.
I guess, it's a good balance, I guess you can say.
Amen. And I think that it's really, for me, it's really really fun when I see artists like sort of break into the mainstream, having kept their artistic and sort of creative integrity and spirit alive. And that's something that, I'm very open to being with the major label.
Right.
I'm open to the biggest opportunities that come
Of
to me.
course. Right.
And definitely I feel open to them. But it's something that I do think that it has to work for your art and for
Yeah.
for your vision of your life.
Right. Absolutely. Now, how old were you when you wrote your first song?
Uh, I was I was around 11 and 12 when I started writing songs, but I didn't play an instrument yet. So I feel like the first like song where I wrote the
Yeah.
piano and the lyric and everything was when I was 13.
Okay. And
Yeah.
any of those songs ever get released or not?
It's so funny you asked that. Actually the first song I ever wrote is a song called Alone in the Crowd.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's really funny because it is one of those songs that has just stayed with me ever since I wrote it. Like I play it every once in a while. Like I
Yeah.
really connect with it still. Like I admit I'm like, wow, that's it shocks me that that was my
Right.
first song because I'm like, it's not like they were all I feel like that afterwards,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
um, so I do have a plan to hopefully release that one day for sure.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, I mean, like probably one of the biggest songs you know for is Cassette Tape, which is, an amazing song. And it's just kind of funny how,
Mhm.
like, they're all dead pretty much now. Cassettes, I mean, vinyls made a return. Everyone loves vinyls. And I feel like, I don't think cassette tapes are ever going to make a return.
I hate talking and I hate walking next to someone I don't know, someone I don't know, and I hate pretending to keep up this friend thing when I have enough friends, and I'd rather be at home. Things would be much easier, and it would really save some time.
You know what's so funny is that when I used to go to Amoeba Records in Hollywood, I
Yeah.
would basically whenever I had, as soon as I could drive and I had any amount of money, I'd go
Yeah.
there and just like spend all of it on records.
Right.
And it was so funny because the cassette section,
Yeah.
all of the used cassettes were like $1 or $2.
Yeah.
So that became super economical to buy
Right.
a bunch of cassettes, but it was
Yeah.
hilarious because my machine, it was like I started to see the shortcomings of cassettes, and then
Hmm. Yeah.
the way that they would, explode
Yeah,
sometimes was
exactly. You
also
gotta pull the tapes out, and
yeah.
yeah, I still
And
have
then
a
the
ton.
yeah, and then you had the point where you're like, I'm not even gonna be able to reel that back in to the
No.
cassette. So this is just that's
Yeah.
how it is. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they were fun making the mixtapes and whatnot. That was easy. Or taking
Yeah.
like, music off the radio, putting it in
Yeah.
a cassette. I have 9 cassette tapes with half a song on there because I really like the song.
Totally. And it's so funny because that was like a little bit before my era, but I
Right.
actually bought a cassette, like a something to basically do that type of recording too,
Yeah.
because I thought it was the coolest thing to actually like have a legit mixtape. Like
Oh, yeah, it was awesome.
that was
Yeah.
what I wanted to be able to do.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little bit older than you, so cassettes were,
No,
big.
I was burning CDs, so it was like
Oh, yeah. Oh,
we all
yeah.
have our
Yeah.
mixtape vibes of
Oh, yeah.
different
And then
formats.
now it's just a Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
convenient, but I miss, making the tapes and burning CDs,
I do too. I
It
do
was so
too.
much
And
fun.
like I always remember like kind of like even like when you would like write out the track listing because
Oh,
it
yeah.
didn't come up, and I
Yeah.
miss that
I
too.
know, yeah. Just get a Sharpie and write it on either the
Yeah.
CD or just put it on like the cover or something like that. Yeah.
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 100%.
Yeah, I have like thousands of CDs. My wife was like, "You got to get rid of these." I'm like, "So okay, sure, I will." So I just got rid of the cases and bought like album, like
Yeah.
put them in there, and then it's so much easier than
Oh my God, I love that. But
yeah,
I agree. I have a hard time getting rid of like let alone the ones I've made myself, like the
right,
CDs that you're talking about.
yeah,
I agree. It's like kind of like it's hard to let go of those.
oh yeah, totally. I just got rid of the
I have
case.
mine too.
Yeah, I put the cover like right in there, so I still have the cover and because some of them have liner notes still, and like with the, who worked on the production and also the lyrics, which are always great. And now it's like you don't
Totally.
really get. Sometimes on Spotify you'll get like the lyrics, but it's not the
Yeah.
same.
There's so many things I love about the digital music
Yeah,
era, but like that is something that I personally really miss because like for me, like growing up, like
yeah,
that was why I did get into vinyl and cassettes and like
right,
because I just love and then basically, of course CDs were like the big thing at that time, but it was so
yeah,
funny, CDs were so expensive
yeah,
that, that was part of why I kind of got into vinyl and stuff like that. But I just loved reading the liner notes. For me, that was
me
always like a
too.
super big thing, and
Yeah,
like seeing who the songwriters were, seeing who the producers were, and I've that's
yeah.
always been something I've loved.
Well, absolutely. And I just miss the stores, just going in there and
Yeah,
like the listening stations and stuff like
I
that.
so agree with you. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, I so agree. Like the culture, like it's like
yeah,
there was more of like kind of like and it felt like you got into conversations with music people at those
yeah,
places that were
exactly.
it's kind of hard to it's like if you don't have an environment like that it's sort of hard to have those conversations naturally like
Yeah,
and just any place. I'm not saying they don't happen. I
right.
hopefully they still do of
Yeah,
course,
but they're
but
not as like, prevalent now, and so unfortunately.
yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
why like whenever I'm like in a certain place I try to like go to the local record store because
Yeah.
for me it still feels like that's like where
Yeah.
the pulse is.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Or just going in there, pre-Shazam days when you had a lyric in your head and you had to ask
Yeah.
do you know this song? And you sound like an idiot trying to sing it to them.
You're like
Half the time
singing
they
part of
know.
it.
Yeah, exactly. And then sometimes the lyrics are not even the right lyrics, you know.
Totally, totally.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. But my favorite song of yours, it has to be, Everything Has Its Way.
Looking for the line that divides the earth in two. is in the ground, it goes down to the roots. We all come from the same place, but that's not the way it ends. Looking for the thread that started in our heads. Everything has its way, my friend. Everything has its way again. Finding missing stones that will ease the riverbed. The weight is in your hands, there's weight in what is said. Take away the glass and there's a window to the wind. Take away the night and there's a day without an end. Everything has its way, my friend. Everything has its way again. Everything has its way, my friend. Everything has its way again. And we're going and we're moving with the wind. There's no stopping once the world takes its spin. And we're going and we're moving with the wind. There's no stopping once the world takes its spin. Everything has its way, my friend. Everything has its way again. Take away the moon and the sun will seem to shine. Take away the beat and the heart can't be defined.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I had no idea that it was actually featured on a bunch of TV shows as well. 'Cause I got the Follow You Every Beat EP, and then I just discovered the song on there. And yeah, so let's talk about, that song, Everything Has Its Way.
Wow, thank you. I'm so happy that that's something that you've connected with. That was a really, really fun EP to make. Actually, that was definitely in my uh I was having a really excellent collaboration experience with Peteman and Eric Schermerhorn, who
Okay.
are the two collaborators, songwriter
Yeah.
collaborators, and even producer collaborators on that record. And we just had a really natural chemistry in the room. It was actually like really exciting for me to kind of like, because I'm an instrumentalist too, and I've always like written by myself at an instrument. It was fun to kind of like, kind of take a little like space from that and be like, not like only the vocalist, because I definitely was part of like musical and production choices, but it was also like I felt like I got to kind of I guess tap into a little bit of a different part of my creative personality. And so that song came out really naturally. We just started like, one of us, I think Pete was playing the guitar part, and it just the song kind of just came out like that. And it was definitely the vibe and the capture of it is, a song that is sort of like about just the way that our world, the way that our existence is, and just sort of like everything has this way of ebbing and flowing, and kind of like there's a sort of epic majesty in it. And so that was sort of the vibe behind the record.
Right. Now, like when you like get your songs on, TV shows that are, actually big name, big name TV shows, how much exposure and how much like, album sales or, whatever, single sales, how does that, translate for you?
It's a great question. Literally every situation has been 100% different. Like it's really interesting. Like I feel like in the case with Everything Has Its Way, that definitely the placement of that felt like it definitely translated to more listeners, people who are specifically asking about that song, and that song was featured in the episode in a way that you could really hear it.
Right.
So I think a lot of people heard the song and connected to it because it was very featured. But like for example, I have had music where it's been on a very big show, but because it's a little bit pulled in the background, it's not so featured or
Yeah.
upfront in the scene. There hasn't actually been that much I wouldn't say there's always exposure with these things. That's what's wonderful about them. But just some of them are more so than others. Some of them definitely connect more with others just because of where it is in the scene and how featured it is.
Right. Yeah. Now with Stereotype just came out, and I'm not just saying it because it's the latest album and you got to promote it, but I think it's your best album to date.
Thank
Uh,
you so much. I
yeah,
really appreciate that.
right. And it's very upbeat, very poppy and stuff like that. Now, when
Yeah.
you go into like a creation of an album, does it organically come about the theme of the album, or do you kind of go in knowing?
Great question. For Stereotype specifically, there was each song was felt very specific. And then when we were conceptualizing what the title of the album would be, it felt like Stereotype emerged as this sort of song that captures a lot of the sort of heart and soul of the album. And so that became like the natural title of it. So I didn't go into the experience knowing that the album would be called Stereotype, but it definitely, because of each song having a kind of like a really intentional way of being written, once we knew what the album was going to be, it became obvious that Stereotype sort of just captured the heart of the album.
Have you ever been stereotyped in your life?
Who hasn't,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Total, I think as a person, we all do. We all get kind of put into a category that we're not, or kind of people assume things maybe because of certain types of conditions, or kind of like we get pressured to act in a certain way that is sort of so. Yeah, I think I'd be impressed if anyone was like, nope, I've
Nope,
never
never.
it's never happened to me.
Exactly. Never, they see me for who I am, right?
Yeah, 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 exactly. I mean, I hope so. That's
Yeah,
kind of
I hope so too, but
that's the goal, right?
yeah, sometimes that's not the case, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Do you remember where you were the first time you heard one of your songs on the radio?
I totally do. So I was on Broadway, and I had just come around the corner from Prince Street. This is
Okay.
in Soho. And it's like a really like, this is a very busy street, and it's just like such a kind of New York City street. And I remember my manager at the time called me, and they were like, uh, your song is on KCRW on LA radio. And they kind of, put a little, like, put the speaker close to, like, and I could hear a little bit of it. And I was just like, ah! I could not believe
Right.
where I was and that this like had happened, and it was just so cool. I was so stoked. And let alone KCRW, like they were already my favorite radio station at
Right.
that time. So I felt like it was a double whammy of
Yeah.
like my favorite radio station was playing it, and it was a very big deal.
That's awesome. That's really great. You have a live show, right? Release party for Stereotype coming up soon, right?
Yeah. So the Stereotype album release show is at the Hotel Cafe in Hollywood, and it's a great part of LA. I was mentioning Amoeba Records, and the old Amoeba Records used to be right around the corner there. So a great part of the heart of Hollywood, and I'm gonna be playing the songs, and it's gonna be a really fun night. I'm super stoked to basically play these songs live, and I feel like the shows I've been playing, where I've been playing these live, it's felt really nice seeing the audience response. And because I'm playing this show solo, it's also like a chance where like they are in their stripped down like kind of original form, and so that's been really fun to be able to play the songs like that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So how do you decide when you're gonna have like your band with you as opposed to just being a solo show?
Yeah, it changes all the time because it's so many different factors. I love playing with a band. So fun. Um, a big part of it is that I felt that these songs, because of the nature of them, they, the music and the lyrics, there's something that when they're showcased by themselves, I feel like they have a really special quality. And so I felt like Stereotype, these songs especially felt like, it would be nice for the audience to hear them in their stripped down
Okay.
form first, as like
Right.
the little entryway to it. But I definitely plan to play with the band again for sure.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So I think like This Is the Life is probably gonna be great with a band, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I'm very stoked for the,
Yeah.
how should I say, the Hollywood Bowl for full orchestra version
Yeah.
of This Is the Life.
Right.
Putting
Yeah.
that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. If anyone's listening who has contacts, right?
Yes. If
Please.
anyone's listening, I have a whole Hollywood Bowl show, full
Good.
orchestra.
Right.
So
And if
I've got
we
the
make that happen,
solo.
I want front row seats, okay?
No, look,
Yeah.
if it happens, I will remember this.
Okay, good. I appreciate it. And you'll play barefoot too, right?
I might have to. I might
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah. Yeah. So where can people find you online?
I used to make a joke at shows that I realized later, could sound somewhat misleading, but
Right.
I'm on every website you've ever heard of.
Yeah, I can
And then I
probably see why
realized,
that's misleading.
and then after I said that enough times at shows, I was like, this is funny, but it
Yeah,
could also sound like more websites than just the normal ones.
exactly. Right.
But yeah, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm on TikTok. My handle on most of the sites is Katie Music, Katie Music. But it's also Katie Costello Music on some of them. But I actually have a new website with a new merch store, and so I'm on Bandcamp, and yeah, all those good places.
Oh, that's awesome. But congratulations on Stereotype.
Thank
It
you
is
so much.
awesome. I look forward to you coming to New York and playing, hometown show for yourself as well.
Here,
And
here, and thank you so
best of
much.
luck for your LA show.
Thank you so much, Noel. I'm so happy that you've connected with Stereotype, and so happy to know that, having heard Lamplight and met you back then, it's so great, reconnecting with you now.
And a special thanks to Katie for joining me today. Go check out Stereotype as well as all of our other music. They're on all the streaming sites. And if you have a guest suggestion, hit me up on X, formerly Twitter, at @thepersonal19, or like the page Living My Youth on Facebook. You can go to iTunes, check out all the past episodes we've had. While you're there, please rate and review the show. Don't have iTunes? Not a problem. Show's on SoundCloud, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, basically wherever you can find a podcast. A new episode will come out soon. Stay safe, everybody. We'll see you then.